Hello, we are live. Welcome to another Red Lion Picture podcast live. Let's address the elephant in the room real quick before we introduce ourselves. What's going on down there, Al?
He's proper broken himself.
I find myself dead funny, you know. I think I'm dead funny.
You are.
Oh,
Is this in celebration of anything, Al?
Oh, mate, it was the last episode today, and I was just trying to be part of the show. I just want it in my life a little bit longer. I need to take this fucking coat off. It's boiling in there. Oh my lord. Oh.
He just keeps on disappearing.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Incredible.
I won't just merge into whoever that is that I'm sat in front of, because I can't remember her name. But I just feel like me and Zeta Jones are just like living our best life right now.
Right then. So I guess we're just gonna have to deal with that. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
Over there is Mike. Yes.
And that's Alan.
Yeah, brilliant.
There we go. We got all the names.
He was lost in his national treasure picture. What's it like sitting next to Zeta?
It's weird. I need to move my cursor though, because it's on one of her boobs. So not that you can see that, but it was distracting for me.
We would never have known. Just saying.
She had an arrow nipple.
Good stuff. Right. Oh, okay. So there's something I've got to do. I've got a song to play you guys today in celebration of something that we're talking about. Hope you're ready.
Probably not.
Anyone listening in headphones is now deaf. I'm guessing it's supposed to be New Order.
That was, so anyone listening, that was obviously the theme tune from Harry Potter. Celebration of the
poor John Williams.
I would think that was like a perfect rendition of the John Williams Hedwig's theme.
That song's gonna be cut off this and used in memes for forever forward now. If anyone ever sees this, that is getting sliced and put in over stuff all over TikTok.
I spent days practicing it. It took me ages to come up with it.
Days though.
Took me a long time, man. I had to go to classes. So, as well as everything else, we'll also be talking about the new game that is going to be released on the 10th, but some people already have it for reasons that I'm not too sure about. I'm sure it's illegal.
If you pre-ordered premium, you got 72-hour early release.
Oh, really? I heard some people just changed like network settings on their PlayStation to like New Zealand or something, and they can just download.
Oh, I don't know. No, not that I've heard of. That's just as far as I knew. If you ordered premium, you got it. Or, you know, if you got the whatever deluxe version, you got it for 72 hours early. But like whatever.
Is anyone actually looking forward to this?
Yeah.
Cool. I'm not a huge. I know Mike cares not for Harry Potter, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of the. I'm not a big fan of the films. I'm going to talk about the. We'll get on to the woman he's referring to, of course, is the J.K. Rowling, where she sparked up some controversy with some of her kind of comments on social media.
couple of minor things to say.
A couple of issues that being sparked up. But we'll get onto that in a second. No, my biggest issue with the game itself is I was kind of looking forward to it. I figured actually this is the closest I'm ever going to be to getting into that world, and then just putting the unforgivable curses on everybody. So literally just Avada Kedavra the school, and just no one can do anything to that. Can you?
No, apparently you can't.
You can't do unforgivable sort of curses. So that's another reason.
I don't know about the other two, but I don't think you can. I don't think you can kill students.
What's the point?
How fucking boring!
Isn't that what Harry Potter is?
I was gonna make a joke, and then I thought I'm not gonna make a joke.
Do it.
No,
do it.
No, absolutely not.
Do it. What was the gist?
Illegal.
No. Anyway.
Right then.
Are we okay?
We'll never know. We can guess what it is, but if Alan doesn't want to tell it, it's going to be pretty bad.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So apparently you can't. I don't know about the other unforgivables, but apparently you can't kill students.
Can you kill people? Like adults? Can you kill?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, there'll be people knocking about that I'm sure you can use it on, but the gist of it is that you can't kill kids. Now, whether or not that's accurate, I don't know. If you can kill any person, I don't know. You can definitely kill like animals.
A mouse.
What's the point?
Sounds fucking terrible.
And also, so you're telling me I can't kill anyone. I also heard you can't play Quidditch either.
No, that's not part of the game. So you ride your broomstick all over the place, and it's apparently the world in which it's set is like the biggest game ever, or something. You know, like it's really, really big.
Biggest map.
Yeah, quite large. And then it said if you can see it, you can go there. So there's no like part of the map that's off the screen or that's in the far distance that you'll never be able to get to.
Well, hold on. That's a bit weird because you get to the edge of the map. What's beyond the edge of the map? So
it looks from looking at like videos and stuff like that, it looks like the edge of the map is so everything seems to be set in essentially in like a valley. So the edge of your map is essentially like a brick wall. But in terms of like when you're flying over lakes and stuff like that, if you can see an island in the distance, you can fly there and land on the island and explore the island or whatever. So that's kind of what they were saying. Makes absolutely no fuck all difference because when you play games like I've just finished God of War Ragnarok, it's fucking huge, absolutely massive as a game. There are areas that you can see and you can't get to. I'm not fucking arsed because it's massive anyway. It makes zero difference to me.
Can you see the moon?
Can you see the sun? Does the sun shine on the home?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, is it like a flat Earth thing and we're under a dome?
Oh, yeah, it could be that.
I'm just saying, you get to the edge of the map, like either there's going to be the sea there or like these mountains or whatever, and technically you can see them, so surely you could just go there.
Oh, that's what they said. But anyway, like, it makes fuck all difference to me.
I was seeing the only reason why I would have played this game is because of the unforgivable curses. Like I would live the dream, which is going around Hogwarts and just killing people in the nighttime. But now I can't even do that. And also like I thought, okay, well, do you know what? The main thing that I thought about is, do you know, like in Quidditch, you get the people that can just like whack the bowling balls into people's faces while they're playing. While you're playing Quidditch, yeah. The beaters.
Yeah. Yeah, I call beaters. Yep.
I can't. It's too easy.
Low hanging fruit.
That is what I bet. I could just, again, brilliant. Like, who's to say that you just need to whack this bowling ball into someone who's playing the game's face? Like, say you're like playing Quidditch and you see one of your teachers there in the stands. Surely you could just get like one of the one of the balls and just smack it into their face? Like, who's to stop that?
I'm guessing the wizard you smashed it at just goes, stop. And he'll fall out the sky. Yeah.
Did he do that? Yeah, maybe.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, if they're all teachers, I suppose they would, but then you have to, when they're too busy stopping the big bowling ball, you just quickly Havada Kedavra, a cheeky Havada. Dead.
Why are you adding a H on the front of that?
Eh?
Why are you adding an H on the front of that?
Because I'm a fucking G. I do what I want.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Is that not how it's meant to be said? Is that not how it's meant to be said?
Is it abracadabra?
Avada Kedavra. Avada Kedavra.
Yeah.
Is that the correct pronunciation?
Probably.
Yeah, is that how I'm supposed to say it, Al? Sorry, Alan. Sorry if I've offended any Harry Potter fans who are watching this. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. I'm sure you've heard by my flute rendition that I played earlier that I couldn't give a fuck about Harry Potter. That's basically what that was to symbolise. And whether I say Havada Kedavra or Avada Kedavra, I don't give a fuck. Don't care what I said. At the end of the day, you can't do it, so it doesn't matter. You can't do it. You can't do it in the game, so who cares?
Just trying to look out for you.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to be attacked by a bunch of Slytherins.
Didn't really need the level of abuse there. So,
I'm sorry, mate.
Education is a gift. Like, I was just trying to look out.
That is true. That is true. And as an educated man, you've elected to play a Harry Potter game.
Educated.
You just said education is a gift.
I know. And I never get any presents.
Oh.
No.
Do you want to play you a song?
No.
Okay.
No.
Pass.
Fair enough. So, Alan, what are you looking forward to about this game?
Just because, like, obviously I love the books. I'm not a massive fan of the films. They're all right, some of them. Love the books. So I was just like, fuck it. Like, I absolutely want to play it. The combat's supposed to be quite good. The story's supposed to be fairly, like, large. It's not Harry Potter because it's like 100 years before, so there's no fucking related characters or anything like that. It doesn't need to follow any predefined lore or anything like that, other than the fact that they're all fucking wizards and this is a school that they go to and this is a town that's near it. So I was just like, expand on the story a little bit, do something different. It's not Fantastic Beasts, so fuck it. I'll have a go. Harry really wants to play it. So I was like, yeah, cool. He'll get it for his 5. I'll stick it on the floor downstairs, and then job's a good.
Good times.
And like I say, I've finished God of War. I've done Spider-Man, both God of War games. Downloaded Sniper Elite 4 and was just like, this is fucking boring. So like I need like another big kind of story game, and until Jedi Survivor comes out, this is the next best thing. So I thought, well, I may as well just play that.
When's Jedi Survivor out?
Next month.
You not got too long, man.
I'll wait for that. To be honest, guys, Mike, tell us why you don't want to play the game. I'm just going to jump out for a second because
I've never read the books. I don't give a shit about the books. I don't give a shit about the films. I don't give a shit about basically any of the lore. Well, no, all of the lore. I don't really care for the writer. I don't care for the IP. I generally don't play games that much, so I feel like I'm going to be missing out on something. Basically, I feel like it's going to be shit.
Right.
For me. Like that. And I don't want to give her any more money. I know you said but if she owns a part of the IP, she's got to be getting paid from it some way. And I just don't feel like...
She'll own the IP in terms of like the world. Like I say, it's not linked to Harry Potter, but that doesn't mean everything else that obviously is referred, like all the town of Hogsmeade and the school itself and the houses within the school and all that shit that comes with it. All of that is hers and will forever be hers.
Yeah. And whenever what comes up with anything regarding her IP, she starts chirping more and she starts talking more bollocks. So, and I don't need to hear that. I got off Twitter for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, I got off Facebook for a reason, and I don't really need those reasons interfering with my life outside of, like, being online. And that's what happens. Like, it goes all over. She'll be all over the news and shit, fucking people talking bollocks about her all over the internet, and I just don't need it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. To be fair, it is fair. She has far too much to say about far too many things. Like whether you agree or not, we can all agree on that. Like, if you agree with her on a lot of things, you're dumb as fuck. But if you do agree with her, we can at least, anyone on any side of that argument can say, she says too much. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's...
You're right, or like, you don't, like, you came up with one genius series of books in terms of like the content, the story and stuff like that. Well done, you. That with a diverse sort of cast within those books. Cool, well done. You was like slightly ahead of your time, just there in the 90s. But
didn't you write the trolls as like fairly anti-Semitic ideologue? Like the way the ones that work at the bank. Come on.
They're very well, they're goblins, and if you read any goblin lore in pretty much anything, just like dragons, they love gold and they're very protective and they're vicious, which is exactly what they are. I don't feel like they've got any particular Jewish qualities, so I don't feel like anything like that. I didn't feel like I read it and that felt intentional.
Okay,
that's one of the things, but that might just be me being dumb as fuck and really
not catching dog whistles.
Yeah, so like I say, like, some of the stuff that she said that have been said is portrayed, I didn't get from it at all. Otherwise, I obviously wouldn't have liked it as much as I did. But yeah, so I think some of it's unfair. But again, she says stuff that really doesn't help her at all. Like, this is supposed to be a person that's wrote a series of books that's on a really high level of intelligence, reads from a really high level of intelligence, but then says the dumbest shit. Like the dumbest.
Yeah, all the way the dumbest.
Yeah, and you just go like, just stay in your lane. No, like, you've done this one thing. She came away from Harry Potter. She went and wrote a book under a pseudonym that no one knew who it would come from. It was published under like Bloomsbury or whatever. No one knew it was her. It fucking bombed. It did not do well because it was like, it didn't know what the audience was. It wasn't as clever as what had come before it. It was like she had this one good series in her that she produced and then not really very much else. And I think because she's had those failings, that may have contributed to her wanting to say more things to keep her in the public eye and to maybe keep her a little bit more relevant than she was before. But
yeah, okay. Is that the one what she wrote on the pseudonym? Is that the one what's got is about the trans person?
I have absolutely no idea. Never read it.
I'm sure it's supposed to be about a trans killer. I can't. Like, I'm never going to read it, but I feel like it was weirdly hypocritical to be going on the rants that she was, and then to crack out a book about that. And I was just like,
unless she wrote a couple of books under a pseudonym.
Yeah, maybe. But I know she's done that, and I just don't get it. I think I just don't get it. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't feel like she needs any more help.
Basically,
so, yeah,
help. I think just
that kind of, not from me. Yeah, just not my type of help.
Yeah,
but yeah. Should we talk about the good stuff now? He's not here.
Oh, mate. I fucking, like, this is one of the few episodes, like, I really, really love it. This is one of the few episodes where I fucking lolled. Like, and I really.
But from the very get go, it was like, what they're doing. Like when the cop was definitely dead, revived and shoots the guy.
She'd lost about 6 pints of blood. There was fucking blood everywhere.
Oh, we need to put compression on it.
Put pressure on it. But you know what makes me laugh is they put pressure on it from the front. It's right through her. You need to sandwich that pressure, because if you're putting pressure on the front, you're just pushing it out the fucking back. There's nothing going on there that's helping this woman. And then they do emergency surgery. They basically give her a trachea tube.
But underneath the collarbone.
But yeah, weirdly here, which I don't feel like. I've watched The Good Doctor. That's not where he did it. He did it somewhere down here in between
the ribs. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't feel like that's medically accurate, but whatever. They're just saying things at this point.
Roll with it.
Insert it carefully. You don't push your wrong. Fucking slammed it into. Like,
they did the Pulp Fiction. You need to get this through the chest bone into the heart.
Yeah.
Adrenaline shot.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Fantastic. And then the Billy scene. So when I sent you that meme saying I am the captain now.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I heard. As soon as she went, I am Salazar now. I was just like, this is fucking great.
I'm Salazar. But the guy what gets the hallucinated drugs after how many hundreds of years are still perfectly usable, and he starts tripping balls instantaneously.
Yeah,
like
instantaneously. Best caliber of acting possible in any show, and then like just really quite conveniently kills everyone except the main character. It was like I was watching Star Trek and all of those people were wearing red.
Yeah.
Died.
It was superb stuff. And after that one, oh, what was the one after that? When he throws the boulder thing for the arrows.
Yeah, because a rock this big would definitely set that off, because there's definitely no animal in a rainforest that's around that large that may have flew.
Saving the rainforest. Saving the rainforest.
No, it's like the bayou swamp.
Yeah, it's just a swamp in like Louisiana or some shit.
Like, there's definitely not a squirrel that'll have fucking jumped through it, or a bird that might have flew that path that set those arrows off. I was just like, this is just.
And then they threw the second one, and after that point, they realised, no, she'd laid that. It was truly the best acting I've ever seen, or the worst. I don't even know. It was terrible. It weren't good. But it was entertaining.
It was the best, worst acting ever.
Yes. Yeah, that makes some kind of sense. And then the trap, the big cage, what hasn't rotted and would fall apart instantaneously as it slams down at that speed.
Still super, super heavy. That
just massive.
Twig that they used would definitely be able to lift it.
I mean, the thing what cracked slowly, and then shattered into a million pieces.
I would have preferred the dad to die under that.
Yeah, like spike through it.
Down and it just goes straight through it and cut him in half. That'd have been a great twist.
That would have been mint.
And then finding the cave and literally pulling back one vine to reveal it.
It's not even that. He did the vine, and then he basically took. Was it Indiana Jones? Was it Raiders? When he puts his hand. Or is it Temple?
Might be Temple, actually. Oh no.
No, it's the start of Raiders, isn't it? Joe, when he's trying to steal the idol.
Yeah, but do they not do it in
Temple as well?
Wow.
I feel like it is Temple.
The woman in it that both do it in there, but there's like scorpions or whatever in there, snakes. So he sticks his hand in. Nothing crawled into that gaping hole in the side of a rock.
Yeah, in a swamp, which is known for being probably fairly hot and humid.
Yeah. Nothing decided to live in there.
No.
And it was just.
And then it was just how smooth all the rocks moved instantaneously.
Yeah. And how they're still powered from some mystery power source.
No, it's just levers and twine, what they've made out of vines and stuff. That's what they were showing the cogs and stuff. But
yeah, I know, but that makes zero sense because you can't have actual motion
This show, though, it makes perfect sense within this show.
And I didn't question it while I was watching it, in fairness. So I was like, okay, cool, this is happening. And then the way she figures out puzzles, as always, top drawer.
It's just instantaneous.
Fantastic. With zero, like it is literally all exposition and nothing else. There's not really any real dialogue, is there? It's all just telling people how they know things. And then I mean, Billy
Blood getting blown up.
I did quite like that because I was like, that's absolutely what you would do. Like, why are you fucking about trying to figure it out and blow the fucker up?
After the door blows up, that massive stone falls on the dad, and they just pick it up. They just pick it up off him, and he's perfectly fine and not like crushed.
It was the I'm alive.
While he had like the Simba red line across his forehead.
Oh, really great.
I'm gonna burn all this treasure up. The rest of it's golden is one thing.
Yeah,
what's flammable?
One like of like a Native American woman. That's it.
Yeah.
Just one kind of painting.
Not even a painting. It's just a weird carpet of some type, isn't it? Like,
yeah, just like some sort of throw. And I was like, but you would just be like, well, burn it then. Like, what the fuck? So like you say, what's it gonna do to all this rock and stone? But yeah, it was. I was really proper hoping because we've got that. I can't remember his name from the original films, but the one who's like Ben's mate.
Yeah.
Because we got him turn up for like an episode. I thought it would be fucking wildly funny if they got to the treasure and he was all
just sat there.
Just like, what took you so long? I would have died like a very, very happy man. Like I was praying for it. I was a bit gutted that didn't happen. I was really gutted that we didn't just get him in like a selfie at the end in a post credit or something like, just like 2-minute part, because they've already linked it to the film, so they're already linking it to Nick Cage's character.
Yeah, they've already mentioned him like a bunch of times.
Yeah, like loads of times. And I don't know if they did that because while they were filming it, maybe they were still in negotiations and talking to him to see if they could get him involved for like an episode.
Nah, it was just so they could say it's a National Treasure show.
Oh yeah, or if it's just like you say, yeah, maybe it is.
So yeah. Otherwise, how was that linked to the National Treasure films?
Yeah. I just really hope that like loads more people. It definitely won't, but like loads more people like you and me just watched it and just adored it for what it was, and it gets season 2. Just because.
Well, it was setting up season 2 as well, weren't it? Like, at
yeah,
the very end.
Fucking tape. Like, who? I found this tape. What did you listen to it on, bro? Did you go back to 1985?
Apparently, Treasure Hunters does hoards like old tech. Didn't you know that? Like, he's got a mini disc and everything. Like, he's got an iPod shuffle with it on, but he lost the lead for that. And he's got a finger rewritable floppy disk with it on as well. I was going to say rewritable CD, but that you can still use them. It weren't that funny of a joke.
Yeah, this makes sense, but only if you've moved that little black tab across so that you can tape over it.
I think I haven't had a message from Nick.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi's playing up, boys.
Okay.
I think he just didn't want to listen to National Treasure Talk.
Well, if he's been watching the live, he can realise that he can just jump back on now if his Wi-Fi is actually working.
He said, "Carry on and fuck and fuck National Treasure."
Can't blame him. He doesn't understand. He needs to open his mind to new possibilities and what is purely entertainment.
I think he needs like some drugs.
But ayahuasca.
What?
Ayahuasca, Joe, the thing what they take in the Amazon. It was a joke about National Treasure and doesn't matter. Carry on.
Oh yeah. I know about drugs though to
I was just like, what?
I was like, what's that? Yeah, but like some not mind alter, but something that's like just a touch of LSD or something that's
you only need a touch of LSD.
going to open him up to the possibilities of differences in life.
Just give him like half a pound of mushrooms. I feel like that's a big enough dose. Not like the 2 or 3 grams that you should see, like half a pound.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be a good dosage for him. Just making some mushroom soup with him.
Yeah, but he says things like, I don't like being bored. And then you're like, but if you gave him enough drugs, like, he definitely won't be bored.
No.
And not that I know how he's bored watching National Treasure anyway, because it's just genius.
I think he doesn't... He likes B-movies, like horrors, though. Like, I don't understand it. Like, he feel like any, like, really naff, like, horror film or sci-fi film, it's definitely within that type of realm. Like, you just need to take it as least seriously as you can anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's a show that's just dropped on Netflix, actually, that...
The Heart in London one finger.
Yeah, Lockwood and Co. So,
yeah.
The premise is, like, it's a young adult show. And I thought, oh, fuck it, I'll watch it. Like, there's nothing else on. So I stuck a couple of episodes on. I accidentally watched the whole season in a day.
Oh, I've got to watch it now.
And it is not like National Treasure good. It's just
terrible.
It's just not particularly interesting in the slightest little bit, but I still smashed out the whole season in a day. And was just like, oh, I want to laugh.
Is it like
shit?
Is it like what's the fucking stupid crap ones that I don't like? Riverdale?
No, it's not like that. Do you remember did you watch the first season of Lock and Key?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but probably not as good because there's more CGI.
So it's more Beeb.
The writing isn't quite as like intriguing and because I felt like that first season of Lock and Key. I mean, it declined after that, but that first season of Lock and Key, I really fucking enjoyed. Like, really,
I've only watched that one season. Like, I tried to watch the second season. I was just like, I'm not.
Season 2's a step down. Season 3, you could tell they was just like, we just need to end it because we're going to get cancelled. So they closed it out.
Push it out, yeah.
Yeah, they just closed the story down. And when it's a satisfying end, it wasn't good. The first season was really good, and that Lockwood and Co feels a little bit like that in that the premise is intriguing. It's just that there's ghosts everywhere. No one knows why the fuck they just turned up. It's a bit like Ghostbusters. They just appear.
I was going to say, and then sounds like a shitty Ghostbusters.
But it's only kids that can see them. So there's like a slave labor undertone where. Or like child labor undertone, where the adults are just pieces of shit that are just sending kids off to die. So there's bits of it where you're like, it's quite dark and it's different. But then for the vast majority, it's just kind of boring.
Is there any great acting choices throughout it though? That's part of the glory of a terrible show. Like, you can see someone, you go, oh, they really didn't try.
No.
Was there anything of the acting like Billy in National Treasure?
No, there was nothing like that. There was a very questionable woman in it. So obviously, like, the cast is kids.
Yes.
So, and there is a woman in it who's like a geeky librarian bird who's like my age, 40s, and definitely is flirting with like a fucking 15-year-old lad. Like, it's weird. The whole bit of their storyline, because he's really geeky and he's into books and research, and she's really geeky and she's into books and research, and it's kind of like an odd
groomer,
mother-son power dynamic, but there's elements where she's clearly kind of pushing, not overtly like sexual references, but you know, they might linger on a touch. It was fucking weird. Like weird.
Sounds like proper groomer tackle.
Yeah, it was, and I was just like immediately she starts doing it, and you're like, well, you're a really bad fucking person, so you're clearly the big villain of this series. I mean, it turns out like I'm fucking spoiling it now, but it turns out like she's not. She's a bad guy, but like tapped up, clearly. But yeah, it was just like I say, there was some bits that I went, oh. That's a bit uncomfortable, and not like in a good way that it progresses the story, and you should feel uncomfortable, like in a bit like I don't know if that was in the script. Like it just was a bit weird.
It was a choice. She took it weird.
Plates. But the lad in it who plays Lockwood, he's like not an untalented actor. He seems like so it's the first thing he's ever been in, and he was all right, to be fair. Corio's good in parts because it's a lot of sword fencing. Like I say, some questionable CGI, but it wasn't horrific, and the acting wasn't terrible. But because of that, it wasn't good as well. It wasn't like National Treasure.
People need to understand it's better to be daring than to be boring.
Yeah.
But people like Nick might still think you're boring.
Yeah, but that's okay.
A 2 out of 3 is not bad. Rare for a spot.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I can think of. Like, there's not many things where 2 out of the 3 of us will agree something was good. Two of us are usually going to shit on it, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's a rarity, especially modern film and cinema. Like, old stuff we can pretty much agree on a bunch of certain things, but when it comes to newer stuff, it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, no, it was that's actually really, really true. I can't think of anything that unless we've either universally loved it or universally hated it, or two of us have. I think this is the first thing where particularly us two, because we've got such different tastes, have gone, love it, it's fucking incredible, and Nick just is like
not getting it,
far away from us, like literally the polar opposite.
I couldn't think of anything. Yeah, because like with us, it'll be a little bit of sci-fi, some comedy stuff. Not much in the way of horror. Maybe action stuff. I don't know. Yeah, some action stuff we'd probably say. Adventure stuff would probably be quite similar. But that's because this is action adventure. Let's face it. Balls to the wall.
Well, on that, so I thought, obviously, because we've been watching NT and I was just like, I fucking love it and I know it's bad. I'm going to watch other stuff that I'll know is going to be bad, but I might enjoy it.
Like guilty pleasures, but not that guilty.
But no, but like stuff that I've not seen, because I'd avoided it because I was like, that's definitely going to be dog shit. So I'm not wasting time on it. Whereas this week I've just gone, I fucking hate myself. So I'm just going to watch it. So I watched Halloween Ends. So I watched
Can we talk about it? Because I don't think we've talked about it, because like none of us have really watched it until this point. Because like, again, this is where me and you should be vastly off, like with our opinions. But I feel like our opinions about this film are very close. Like, it is a ridiculous piece of shit, and then it has a banger of the last 20 minminutes. And even that banging last 20 minutes makes zero sense.
But I don't even. So I was texting you all day when I was watching it, and because we was just like, we was chatting and stuff, and I was like, I'm watching Halloween Ends, and she was like, just skip it, just fast forward to the last 30 minutes. And I was like, there's 40 minutes left, nothing is happening. It's just turned into Sin City. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she was like, oh, it gets good now. I was like, there's 20 minutes left. It's still not fucking good. There's a couple of these not even close to the kills that were in like the last film, that Halloween Kills.
No.
Kills in that were fucking fantastic. But there was some of them where I was just like, this is just it had no idea what it wanted to be. It ruined the character of Laurie Strode, like Curtis. It ruined Michael. He was if you've not watched it, like, don't bother. But it's set 4 years after Halloween Kills. At the end of Halloween Kills, Michael gets fucked up. So in this film, it starts and you don't see him for a while, and then he turns up in a cave.
It's a storm sewer, isn't it?
In a sewer, and he's essentially a cripple. He gets beat up by a kid. Like, the kid gets away from him, and he's like fucking limping around. And Jorvik was like, "Oh, I think he's just recovering." And I was like, "Mate, it's been 4 years. He's not recovering from shit. If he was recovering, he's now healed. He's actually just a cripple now. That's fine. And if that's what he is, and he becomes this mentor type guy because he can't physically do it anymore, that's kind of intriguing. I'm all right with it." Nope. 5 minutes later, holding women up against a wall with one hand,
stabbing him through the throat,
and stabbing him so hard that he pins him to the wall.
Yes, but that's like a trope within Halloween, though, isn't it? Like, it happens in pretty much every film. Like, so, like, but for him to put it there after, like you said, like, he couldn't beat up like a kid what's just been thrown off a bridge.
A guy's just been thrown off a bridge, dragged into a storm sewer, wakes up, and he's still dazed, as you would be falling fucking 30 foot onto solid ground. Then, like I say, gets away, and Mike can barely move. He's got a bit of a grip. He reaches through like a hole. There's no fighting him whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, he's just fine. I was just like, this is fucking, it's wild. It's like,
it's serial killer by osmosis as well. Like, if you're close enough for him for a little bit, you can just take it with you.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
And then this kid goes from kind of a little bit like, to, you went fully off the deep end. Like, that bullying that you'd clearly been suffering for years that didn't look like it had impacted you in the slightest bit at the beginning of the film, just half an hour later has now significantly changed your outlook on life. All right, bro. Right.
Can you see me?
Yeah. We've just been watching you, showing us what you want to do later.
Oh, right.
But we're talking about Halloween Ends.
Oh, right. Was it any good?
No, it's fucking awful, mate. It's absolutely terrible.
Just pause for 2 secs, because I have to give this shout out to Sky at the moment, who say there's absolutely nothing wrong with the connection in my area. And I just looked on Twitter, and actually there's like a lot of people that are saying there's an issue with the connection in this area. So Sky, you're all fucking pricks. Sort out the fucking Wi-Fi in the area. That's it.
Get onto on Twitter. Start tweeting at them again, lad.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. If it keeps on happening, then I'm just gonna have to be pixelated.
Either that, or can you not just jump on your personal hotspot? Is your 4G not better, or your 5G not better where you're at?
I've actually just tried that, but then it just booted me out, so it's not really helping.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
No, like not in the slightest. But anyways, yeah, please. Sorry, please.
No,
continue.
it's fine. We're
just holding down the fort.
So it's kind of like, it turns into sort of it feels like a directorial experiment, in that they got about 5 different directors in and gave them a section of the film each.
Yeah, I can kind of do that.
Like, just do whatever you want. Go wild. Like, there's a party. And like I say, it went from being like some sort of weird John Hughes movie to this sort of Shutter Island type psychological thriller, into a film noir, and then into like crazy fucking Not even Halloween. It felt more like a Friday the 13th film, but not like a good Jason film, like one of the later ones in space.
Yes, Halloween in space.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm talking about.
That's kind of, and it jumps that quickly as well from one to the other with no thought or rhyme or reason as to what's going on. Like I said, there's a bit where they're riding a motorbike, this kid and the Laurie's like granddaughter, who's fucking suddenly far older than I felt she was 4 years before. And they're riding a bike and there's like a weird voiceover, and it's fully like watching Sin City. Like it just needed to be black and white, and you could have ripped it straight out of that film and put it in something else, and you wouldn't have fucking known.
Awesome.
See, I had big feels from. You know, has anyone else seen American Psycho 2?
No.
They made a second one.
Yeah, that's all you need to know about it. It's Mila Kunis, and it's fucking awful. But that's what a lot of this film reminded me of. It was someone trying to be a weird copycat of, a really successful film. It just wasn't good. Like it's truly one of the worst pieces of shit I think I've ever sat down with and gone, yeah, and watched all of it. Just gone, oh my god, it was so fucking makes me feel sick thinking about how shit that film is. And I've watched a lot of shit films. Like, like I like a lot of shit films. Like I've got really shit taste. So for me to say this shit film is really shit, it's fucking quite it's quite a low bar. Like you have to go under.
Yeah, but not the only piece of shit film that I watched this week. Because last night I decided to watch the new Charlie's Angels film.
Why?
I just said to Mike, I went on this weird kind of trip of being like, I've watched something that's truly terrible that's brought only joy into my life, and I wanted that again. But National Treasure is clearly just it's the exception, not the rule.
Do you know what you are? You're a National Treasure junkie. You are going to forever be wandering the plains of this world trying to get your next NT high. That's simply it. And you're never going to get it. You're never going to get this fix. National Treasure has done something to you. It's like a drug. You're addicted to this. You're addicted to National Treasure.
Yeah.
You watch that. I watched Underworld Awakening.
Oof.
Vicky walked in, and because it was on Netflix, and I flipped it over to the challenge, she went, "You chose to watch that? It just weren't on telly, you couldn't be asked to turn it over." I went, "No, I put it on."
This is it. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill. It is actually like an addiction. It is like a drug addiction.
In defense, Mike had Kate Beckinsale.
Black leather corset.
And I had Naomi Scott. So, and Kirsten Stewart's not actually too bad in it. The other girl, I don't know her name. I don't think I've seen her in anything else. She's pretty nice as well. And it's got Elizabeth Banks in it, which is always kind of a winner. But she's not a good director. So I figured that about. I really like her. I think she's great in terms of comedy. She can't direct for shit because she's done that and she did Pitch Perfect 3, and they're all both fucking really quite terrible from a directing point of view.
And story.
Yeah, and yeah, really quite bad. So maybe just don't do that, Lizzie. And also don't do another Power Rangers film.
That might be good. Another new Power Rangers film might sink to the depth that we need.
No, I feel like it takes itself far too seriously.
Oh, yeah, there is that issue.
That's the problem, innit? It's not self-aware.
They're spending that much money on it and they're just being shithouses about it.
Yeah, and that is what it is about National Treasure. It is very, very aware of what it is.
If it isn't, that's mind-blowing. Like, if you think this is a great television...
That might make me like it more, though.
They really tried, and then that's what we got.
Like, that's at the point where I'd love to go, bring me to Disney and let me just sit in a corner at that meeting, at that table read, or that pitch meeting, where they go, "This is what season 2 is going to be. Look at the reviews for season 1. Look how well it did." And it's just things like us being like, "It's fucking terrible, but we love it."
5 stars every episode. Every single thing about it. They should win Golden Globes or Emmys or whatever for it. It's fucking incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Drama and comedy.
Mm.
Hey, if you sung in it, I'll let them have that as well. Oh, there was a dance scene in it. They can have the musical from that. Oh, no, someone sung in it as well. And they can win everything.
Yeah. He was an actual singer. He was actually quite... He was better at singing than he was at acting. He was actually quite... And then, well... did an Elvis song in the middle of a gift shop in Graceland.
It was in actual Graceland, weren't it? But then he sung on stage later on before that guy was telling him that he'd give him the hard drive with the faked voice of her saying she killed her granddad.
Yeah.
He sung Glenn as when he was pissed.
That they figured that out.
On walk.
We never spoke about the fact that they figured out that it was Billy that did that from her pronunciation of one word in English versus the way Americans say it.
I can't even.
Hey, if you can believe it, it's possible in that universe.
I can't
think about it.
I can't deal with this.
Why?
I can't.
You can leave again, bro. We're having the best time here.
This is so terrible.
Okay, do you want to get to Finger then?
Can we just talk about The Last of Us, and then I'll go, and then you guys can carry on with National Treasure.
Yeah, that's fine. You two start talking about The Last of Us. I'm just going to go and get a drink, so I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. I'm drinking scotch. Scotch.
Yes. So this episode of The Last of Us, so episode 4.
Yes.
I am going to try and get through this as best as I can because I keep on checking the YouTube and I'm like sticking quite a lot. And because the Wi-Fi still not fixed. It's really annoying. But I'm just going to say, this episode of The Last of Us, for me, was actually, I did say to you guys, I was very disappointed in it. I wasn't happy with this episode. And it's weird because it's for something that wasn't or things that didn't happen within this episode that happened in the game. And obviously, from my last rant last week, I was impressed by The Last of Us for the very same reason. They went a different direction with certain things that was in the game, and they decided to take it out and go a different way with it, which I really loved. This time, I don't feel like the story was different enough for them to go. And to be honest, it wasn't really. They did kind of follow the story, but there was just certain things about the story in this element that they took out. And I'm sure there were lots of them, but there was a couple of things that I noticed, and these are the things that I really enjoyed the first time watching them from the game. So one of my most, and it's going to sound really pernickety, but one of my favorite moments is the scene where I know yesterday I went through the whole of the porno mag scene. I'm really sorry that ended up being a spoiler. I didn't think they was going to have it in this scene because I just didn't think there'd be.
And he started with it. He come out right at the first shot, and I was like, well, not ready first shot, but it's pretty fucking close to being like. He's still what you count as like the intro to the episode, and it happened. And I laughed, and Vicky was like, "Why are you laughing?" And apart from it being just a funny bank mag kind of joke, went. Nick literally said that weren't going to happen. I'm going to be waiting last week's episode. And it's like cheap pop for me. But also I was like, okay, it's that from that. I was like, tonally, it's going to be slightly different to last week. Let's put it that way.
I was expecting it to be different to last week's. Anyways, and that's what I enjoyed. I thought last week we're going to have the kind of chill. We're going to have all the peace and, the nice and the heart, and it's going to kind of pull to the kind of more drama. And I thought, okay, so what I was expecting was the scene that we saw. So Ellie and Joel driving, and then the guy comes out, and he comes out just as he does in the film, and he's, it looks like he's injured. And then they stop and they see him, and he goes, "Help, guys, help." And they take the detour and everything. This is the line that I was a bit like, it didn't ruin it for me, but I was like, oh man, and because it was that bit where he was like, help. Ellie's, saying to Joel, are we going to help him? And he goes, put on your seatbelt, and he's helping him with the seatbelt. She goes, are we going to help him? And like, she's really like trying to like help this guy, and the guy's like, help, and and it looks like there's blood on him as well and everything. And in the game, it's quite tense. And then and he's just like, fasten your seatbelt. And she goes, Joel, we have to do something. We have to help him. He's hurt. And he looks up at the camera and he literally just puts on his seatbelt and he gets the car in gear. And he looks up and he just goes, he ain't even hurt. And he drives at full pelt towards this guy when the guy literally just like stands up straight, pulls out a gun and shoots like twice into the windscreen. That scene for me is such an amazing Joel line because I was like, what the fuck is going on? You know what I mean? And I was like, what's he going to do? What's happening? When he says that, it was such a badass line. And everything happened the same way, but they just replaced it with no. They placed it with him saying, instead of him saying he ain't even hurt, to no. And then he drives. And then the guy, jumps out of the way and the other people come or whatever. Again, it's a tiny thing. But I'm thinking, why take out that line? It is like, it's a line that effectively is perfect for it to a line that is quite forgettable and substandard. Like even that moment, I had to kind of remind you guys. I can see you guys even thinking, going, oh yeah. Because it was almost, but for me in the game, it was like a pinnacle moment that made you go, what the fuck? Like, is he not hurt? And then he pulls out the gun and then, like a badass scene's about to happen. Also, off the back of that, yeah, go on.
The only thing I can think of is so when he has the line later on when he says, I've been on both sides of that, is to make that more important, that line more important than that. Does that make sense to anything? Right, so later on,
give more gravity to that.
Yeah, to what he's saying there instead.
I don't even think he ain't even hurt is like a particularly hard line, but I think it's
I'm not saying it's hard. I think it's because they're still trying to show him as he's starting to become more protective, and he was more worried about her getting the belt and getting her out of there. That's the only thing. And then you get that line later on. That's the only thing I can think of because I didn't see that. So it made that line later on. You're more aware that he's been a bastard at some point.
Maybe, but you still are in the game. Like this changes nothing to the game. Like it changes. Yeah. Like, it's simple. The whole thing is basically the same thing. But they've just taken out a line that, for me, like I put it in the chat. I was on the Last of Us chat or IGN chat or whatever. I threw it in there, and I just said, like, why take out that line? I don't get it. But literally, loads of people kind of came around and just said, yeah, do you know what? We thought the same thing. Like it was obviously for them it was quite memorable as well. But it was the moment, like during the cutscene, where there was just like bliss. They were listening, and the music that they played, they put on just as when they were driving the first time. They find the tape, and he goes, "Oh, this was a bit before my time." Yeah, that tune that they put on, that's the same music that's playing, but the music then gets louder as if you're hearing it as in the game, and that's when he drives quicker. When he goes, he ain't even hurt. The music plays louder. The guy pulls out the gun. It's just a whole scene. And then, anyways, so for me, like that's a line that I remember, and again one of those cards that kind of stacks up the badassness of Joel for me because I love that line so much. He just knew, knew what this guy was trying to pull. He knew what's going to happen, and I just thought instead of like why replace that with no, which is quite basic. Ultimately, it means the same thing, but this line was just better. Like I don't like why change it. And they kept, and what I don't understand is why keep everything else in? If there was a genuine plausible reason, if they decided to use that later on for another one, then I guess I kind of get it. But at that moment there, I just thought, why not just say it? You did everything.
I did say it's gonna happen to you again. It's gonna be at the start of the next episode. It's going to happen at the start of the next episode.
That was a small thing. That was for me. It's a small thing. Obviously, it's just a line. For me, it's one of the more memorable lines. I could kind of quote there or thereabouts what happened with the porno mag and stuff. It wasn't verbatim. I'm sure I got a few things right, but I'm sure all of it wasn't right. But that, like, I could remember that line straight off the top of my head because it was one of those things in the game that really stuck with me because it was a moment where, just like Ellie, like you're thinking, oh shit, you know, should you help this guy? Like, what's going to happen? What's he going to do? And then when he says that, he ain't even hurt. You're just like, oh shit, and then he pulls out the gun. So it's like it kind of gives levels to Joel. Like he knew what this guy was trying to pull. He knew that it was a trap. He knew he was faking it the whole time, which again gives kind of premise to what he used to do and how he used to be. But anyways, that bit I could forgive. I could forgive like them taking out that line. But just what happens afterwards as well, it showed me that one thing that I didn't want them to do was water it down too much. After what we saw in the first episode with the town, and that was a huge scale kind of opening, you know, when they're running away from the zombies and the plane crashes and all that and the other. For me, it showed me that they could do things on a big scale. In the game, straight after the bit where they run over this guy, there's another guy on the roof who throws down a brick and it hits the truck. They kind of dodge and, you know, weave, and, you know, bullets are hitting the car and this, that, and the other. And then there's a bus that these guys kind of push down the hill, and it slams into the truck, getting them to kind of veer off, and they smash into a shop where they get out and there's gunfire, and then it starts the shootout. Now we kind of got that in the shop/laundrette thing that they were in, and I think there are, and I do remember there being washing machines in the game, but I don't quote me on that. Wasn't too sure, but there might be. But anyways, the shootout, like what we got there, was really, really, like, I thought we were now going to get like that kind of cool, fun shootout. We're going to see Joel just being a bit of a badass for a minute, and what we got was more. I guess to an extent it was more realistic. It was more of a survival thing rather than anything else. He was biding his time. He told her to get in the hole, wait. You know, even the actual shootout itself, you kind of see one of the guys get taken out off the shop. We don't really see what happens to him. I wanted. Like the game, I thought we were going to get the nice chilledness of what we had, you know, in episode 3, and now I wanted just Joel just murking the fuck out of people. Like I want the big shootout. The game will exaggerate. There's probably 10, 15 people that you kill in there, but you know, like a little gang of people, and even just like a lot of that episode just being about how he navigates or works around it to try and get away from these people or around the city, which you have to do in the actual game itself, and him even just being chased by this squad at this first time, I would have preferred that, but I just wanted a bit more action. He kills 3 people, I think, in total in the episode that we just saw. He killed the 2 guys, and then there was the other guy with the shotgun that was begging for his life. Again, quite dramatic. That bit doesn't. I don't think that bit happens in the game. But Ellie saves him again. A good moment, a good talking point, and obviously shows a lot about their relationship and a lot of the dialogue that happens moving forward. But it wasn't enough. Like I didn't get my action fix from it. I thought it was there was 2 little people, 3 people wasn't enough. I wanted a big
there's the doctor as well.
Yeah, well,
there's the doctor later on. One gets shot by Rose from 2.5 Men.
What when she just walks in and shoots him? Like, for fuck's sake.
But yeah, you're fucking hilarious, man. But yeah, like, I get what you're saying, because for me, this was probably the weakest episode, but it was the shortest episode.
Sorry, I felt like you needed to be cheered up, Nick. I'm sorry if that didn't work.
Why would anything about National Treasure cheer me up?
Because it makes us happy.
Was Nick Cage in this one? In the last one?
No. Not even an acknowledgement or anything.
The only reason why you watched it to the end is because you were hanging on to hope.
No.
Cage would show up.
We weren't hanging on for hope. We was fully entertained. We was just hoping that if it happened, it would have made it the single greatest show ever made.
Would have just been the cherry on the ice.
Pile of shit.
Oh no, on the world's greatest Sunday.
Just like. All right, no. Because
let's get back to it.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't trying to hear you off. I do apologise.
No, that's fine. It did, and it made me smile a bit. And then I thought about the episode again, and then how much I hate National Treasure. Now I'm twice as angry.
Yeah, but okay. So what I was saying, weakest episode so far, but the shortest. But it also feels like it was a setup episode, and it was setting up the next 3 episodes, just because it was introducing a new city, B, the people that have taken over from Fedra, and then the people that they found at the end, when they've been hiding, trying to get away from the ones what have murked off Fedra. The kids what have been drawing the superhero stuff. Like it just felt like this is just an intro into what was coming up, and then there was that weirdness because obviously I haven't played the game. The weirdness with that floor, what was breathing, and me and Vicky were like, "Oh, what's coming out of there? Is that going to be a monster?" And Vicky went, "No." Vicky went, "I think it might be the mycelium," and then I went, "Oh, maybe." And then she turned around and went, "How many of the dorks have thought about that and watching this?"
What mycelium?
Mycelium's the power that helps with the spread of mushrooms, the stuff what's underground.
Oh, okay.
The world's largest organism in the world is a patch of mycelium in, I think it's in Canada, and it's like 200 square kilometers or something stupid. It's like a massive thing. But yeah.
So I don't know what it is. I hope it is.
Is it a big monster? Because I was getting very Silent Hill vibes from it. Like, I hope something, or again, Resident Evil Nemesis, like something's going to burst out of it and be big and gnarly and shit.
Yeah, there's another thing in the game that you don't meet many of them in the game, in fairness, and that's because you can't kill the fucking things. Like they're ridiculous.
Are you just gonna straight up spoil it? I've been like for 3 of these episodes, I've been saying there's something else that I'm really looking forward to.
No, that's as much as I'm going to say. There is another thing that you get and if they get it right,
the big bad.
Well, it's not even. I suppose it's not even the big bad. Kind of.
Even, yeah.
Yeah, it's just another thing that's knocking about in this world, which makes infinitely more terrifying. In that you get to we've met the clickers obviously, and then there's another thing that's I don't know. I'm not going to say it's more dangerous or whatever, but it's definitely different. Yeah. And then you go shit. So we've got just normal infected, and then we've got clickers, and then we've got
clickers and this other thing.
Yeah, like what the fuck is that? Like what else is out there? It opens up that conversation as to if there's these 2 things that have developed differently or whatever, and have got to this point, are there more? And where does that go? And how does that lead into like season 2 and 3 and 4, and where the writers, now that they've got a bit more free reign, when they don't have to stick so heavily to the game, what are they going to do with it? So I'm excited to see it. If they get it right, it'll be fucking insane, and I'll be buzzing. I mean, even if they don't get it quite right, I think I'll still be buzzing because it's fucking sick. Like, it's dead good.
And they've done the other 2 well, so
like perfectly. Perfect. Like Nick was saying, the way the clickers move, the way that how threatening they are, how intimidating they are, just the visuals, the prosthetics, everything. It's bang on. Absolutely bang on.
Yeah. They've got the infected down to an absolute T. To be honest, I'm not going to. It hasn't made me go, "Oh, this is shit." This episode. It was just the episode where it was where, like it's now come to the point where I found an episode where I preferred what we got in the game. Yeah. And I feel like if this is the way it's going to go, because there are quite a few action sequences within the game, and if they're going to do them a bit more like this, then I feel like during these moments, I'm probably going to prefer the game. During the moment where we're supposed to have drama or exploring and banter and things like that, I'll enjoy what they do creatively within the live action. I just feel like that's how it's going to be. And I think I probably did expect much because obviously the shootout for me within the things that you can do in the gameplay when you're shooting out, it's so real. But you literally use things in your environment to your advantage. You know, you run out of bullets, you can push people up against the wall with your weapons, batter them about. You know, the combat in the game is absolutely incredible. And you really need to utilize everything that's around you, you know, to your advantage. And you know, the shootout sequences in the game are pretty impressive as well. And I just thought we were going to get a little bit more of that. Thought we were going to see a bit more kind of Joel just finally kind of showing why people are afraid of him, you know, as it was said in the first episode.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, because if he's to be scared of, and he was taking people like what were shooting at him with one bullet, one shot, that's terrifying to me. That guy's like doesn't get.
I think I'm in between you and Nick again on this one, in that I still really enjoyed the episode for what it was. Yeah. It's one of my favourite parts of the game. So that, I think I said that last week. I fucking love it. Like, and I knew what was coming, and like Nick said, like with the that sort of faking of being ill and turning to Ellie and saying put your seatbelt on, especially after like hinting to it the week before when she doesn't know what a seatbelt is, and like you watch that and you go, clever bastard. Like that's another bit where you go, that was really nicely played, that from the writers, that they just kind of briefly hinted at it so that it made sense later on because we know what's coming. And then it came, and I wasn't too bothered about the line in terms of him saying no. It made zero difference to me, in fairness. But I just feel like it was a missed opportunity, where it was after how quiet last week's was and how story driven it was, and we'd kind of built this relationship with Ellie and Joel already a little bit. I didn't really need another episode of building and like that building on that relationship further, because I know that's going to come later on. And it just felt like an opportunity after like a lull of last week, not in terms of the way the story is told, to kick it, to ramp it up to like they could have had a really short, really heavily intense action sort of bit episode. Even if it had been like 30 minutes where they're just pinned down in this shop, even if it's just that they've got a truck that is loaded with shit that they've just picked up from Bill's, they're not gonna like run out of ammunition really immediately. So they could afford to have been able to have an episode where Ellie and Joel still interacted. They still had that bit of character development in terms of the relationship, but they were pinned down and it was really action heavy. And I just felt like it was just a bit of a missed opportunity. But having said that, I still really fucking enjoyed it. So I'm genuinely not asked, especially the last bit when they get into the block and he comes back with the punchline from the joke. And I was like, that hit quite hard for me in terms of the way he's moving and letting his guard down slightly and kind of almost coming down to that juvenile humour level, which you only see that in really kind of like really light sprinkles throughout the game. Like you don't get it often. He's generally quite fucking serious and surly right the way through, as he should be. But so it was. I did enjoy it.
I think it's too early. I like that it's happening, and you know, for those of us that have played the game, and for those of us that haven't, will probably know that it is going to happen anyways. This is about the bond between those two, and we know that there's going to be one. Let's face it. And I guess it's about how it happens. When it does happen, it's going to be, it's going to be incredible. But we're watching it for the build up, and I still think it's very early even to get to those stages. I think I built it up too much in my head because I knew what was coming in the game. I knew that what happens in the game at that point is just a proper, like, full-on hardcore action sequence. It's a shootout to end all shootouts. It's brilliant, you know, and it's just them, no infected. It's just them and the guys that are trying to steal their shit and whatever. And it's them throughout the whole thing. You just take it like tackling these guys in that scene, effectively trying to get out. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see like a cat and mouse type thing. You know, these guys just being hunted. You know, them trying to escape, and just like a proper action. And that's what I thought because of how nice the first one was. Not the first one, the last episode was. I thought, this is what we're going to get. So just to have him kind of kill 3 people and then go back to the kind of, them building their rapport.
Go
on, sorry.
Go on. I was only going to say, like, that 3 people to me felt like a prelude to what's coming down around the corner in the next episode. Just because she freaks out when she sees the dead bodies and starts screaming, kill them, kill all the people. That's what made me feel like next week is going to be even, Friday in the States because of the Super Bowl. The next episode will be that episode that you're talking about. Like, they're going to be getting chased around and running around and getting hunted, and there's going to be a lot more shooting and action.
There is the whole thing that I can't even remember in the game if it directly links to what happens next as well, because I still think where it ended, that bit was too soon, but I might be wrong. But I feel like it's probably. Go on.
I don't feel like it's far off. I feel like it might be a little bit early just because you meet him in a different way, but I think that's because that whole shootout sequence is so like protracted in terms of what it is. So it feels early in the show, but that's because of the difference.
The show's not the same.
Between the way that that portion of the series was shot versus how long it lasts in the game. I think that's the only reason why it feels early. It doesn't feel out of place in terms of where the story's going.
Yeah. It feels right because we know how it's going to go and what happens next.
Yeah, but I also get that it feels early just because of how short that bit was when you expect it to be longer.
Yeah, I would have personally what I would have loved. And again, I didn't hate this episode. I don't want anyone to think that I hate it. I was disappointed in it, but I don't think
like I said, it was just. I don't think it was bad. It was just the weakest one we've had so far.
Sure, okay.
Because the other ones have been really good, really, really good.
Yeah, you think it's the weakest one. I agree with that.
Still really enjoyed it, but it was the weakest one.
Same. I thought it was good. Like when I watched it again, and when I watched it for what it was, rather than what I was expecting, I could enjoy it a little bit more. And I did like how Joel was in this, and I did like again the bounce between him and Ellie. I love the joke sequences and things like that. But
that book is gonna go fucking. That book, if it's a real book, is about to be like on everyone's bestsellers.
Is it a real book?
That's what I'm saying. I feel like it might be an actual book.
It should be, and if it isn't, they'll definitely publish.
Someone's got to put it out there and start making a bit of money on fucking Amazon self-publication.
Oh yeah, if anyone watching this knows where I could get the Babadook book, let me know because I want to start reading it to the kids.
But the Australian one?
Yeah, the Babadook. No, I won't read it to the kids, but it'll be quite fun just to have in my collection. So I think the first time I watched it, I was just like, for me, I was expecting the line, and this line gassed me when I watched it. I played the game, so when he said no, I was like, "Oh, that's not it." Jesus,
instant revolt. Fuck
exactly.
This show.
It's because I was waiting for it, and I was just like, "Here comes the badass line," and I think he even said it on the last episode, where I was just like, "Yeah, there's something that Joel says that's going to be like that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that whole scene plays out." And he didn't say it, but it was the same scene. And then it was just it was a lot weaker of so it wasn't as dramatic as it is in the game either. Like there's people everywhere. When the bus comes down and you kind of narrowly miss it, or it hits the side of the car and then it smashes into the shop, and then it's just full action straight away. You don't have the time to like relax and breathe.
It might be because of the pacing. Like they didn't want that type of beat. The pacing in the show as a whole feels very deliberate.
Yeah.
And like to make something peak not even halfway through the episode might have just thrown the pacing to the rest of the episode off and make the rest of the episode feel a bit too laggy, for a better word.
Maybe. No, I'm sure they have the reasons.
Yeah, I'm guessing if it is such an iconic thing, we might see a bus getting pushed down a hill at some point. I feel like the line was more important than the bus. Right.
I wanted the line. I know I'm not going to get
not the visual.
I'm just going to get over it. The bus coming down was like, obviously, it was one of those oh shit moments again. But you get a lot of them during that one scene, when he goes, he's not even hurt, and then he pulls out the gun, and you're like, oh shit, and then he drives and he runs him over. Then there's all these guys on the roof, you're like, oh shit, and then you drive around the corner, and this bus comes down, and you're like, oh shit. Then they smash into the shop, and you're like, holy shit, and then it just goes from the cutscene straight to you playing again, and these bullets are pinging off the car, and you're like, fucking hell, you got to get out of this, which is just brilliant.
I do feel like that kind of action scenes would have taken away from the dialogue later on. After Elle's paralyzed the guy, and then she's like, it weren't my first time, Joe, when she's got a tear rolling down her eye. Might it be a little bit?
I don't think they needed to have it.
Understate. I do. Just because I haven't played the game, so I'm still learning about everything about these characters. So her shooting that guy and then them having that conversation was a big insight to me into both of those characters and them becoming more trusting of each other, because then he also has the reverse of the conversation later on when she asked him, "How did you know?" And he got to say, "I've been on both sides of that." That's what I was trying to get at before. If you overshadow with just balls out action for those two lines, and they are just two lines in very, very good dialogue, I feel like it might overshadow what's that connection, what they're trying to build.
But this is what that's
just for me anyway.
No, which is absolutely fine. But again, that's coming from someone who hasn't played the game. I think Alan and I both know that there's so many moments like this that are probably a bit more critical and more relevant to the character building that we're going to get, that are going to explain these things in a lot more depth and in better ways. And there's going to be things that happen where Ellie has to use a weapon, and there's going to be things that happen where, Joel does tell her about his life. And I feel like it doesn't all happen during that scene in the game. And what worries me is that if they're telling us this now and taking that away, then is it because they're not going to have these moments later on?
Well, they never.
I hope they still have them, but bigger, because the moments later on in the story are bigger.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. They've alluded. They never really, because he said it wasn't the first time, and that was the end of it. I've been on both sides, and that was the end of it. They never delved into that, but it was just what effect.
That's what I mean. So what's I'd rather just not have that bit in there now, because we're going to hear about this later. Just have the action, because you're saying don't have the action because potentially it could take away from those lines. If we are going to get these moments later, so why even have those lines in there? I would have just had an all-out action sequence there.
But aren't you going to get more action later anyway? Well, that's what I'm saying. If it's a building episode, that's the only way I can describe it. It was a building episode.
Yeah. I think we are, but it's not going to be like that. That type of action sequence is the only one where you really do feel kind of claustrophobic. You'll get loads of moments where you're fighting in buildings and outside on the streets and this, that, and the other. But that's usually with infected or rebels or both. This is a really good kind of just a set moment, where, and again, it's one of the only kind of action sequences that really kind of stick in my head when I think about the game. It's
you feel almost overwhelmed by it, really under pressure. Whereas a lot of the ones that come later on, in the game, they'll involve bits and bobs of stealth. The enemies will be a little bit, although there'll be a lot of them, they'll be further apart. This one felt like waves of just
and they all know where
at that point. So well more dangerous than the actual infected are. So I get what Nick's saying. You didn't feel it. Like I said before, it felt like a bit of a missed opportunity. But I wasn't mad about it. I was just I probably would have done it differently. But as long as they do the other stuff later on, right, and it set it up for everybody else nicely now for what's coming later, that I'm cool with it. If they handle the rest of the season the way they handled the first 3 episodes, and even this episode, it'll still finish as probably one of the greatest seasons of TV you've ever fucking watched.
Yeah.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
The only problem I've got is it does seem to be moving through some of the stuff a little quickly, and that might be intentional. I genuinely don't know where they're going to end the season, because I don't feel in 9 episodes you're going to end the game.
That's what I was saying last week. I reckon it's going to be more than a season, and the one game's probably going to go over a couple of seasons, I would imagine.
Yeah,
the fact that they greenlit the second season after 2 episodes makes me feel that probably a little bit more as well.
Yeah, they just want to tell the complete story. I kind of get that, especially kind of middle to toward the end of the game, because it does there's a point where you get to where you do feel like it is kind of like you do feel like you've just come back from the interval a little bit, and you're kind of starting almost afresh after. And I feel like we're quite close to that now of that thing. This is why I feel like it's going very quickly, in episode 4, and where we got to at the end of the last episode. I feel like it's going like really fast. So it just depends really. I think I'm going to be watching the next episode quite a bit less laid back than I've been watching it previously. Like this one, I was kind of like, I'm just ready for a great episode. I'm ready for the action sequence that I know is coming up now as well. I didn't hate the just the casual driving scene in the Bants and hiding in the woods and the fact that he ended up staying awake looking after. I love those bits. I love those moments. Didn't get that in the game. It's just the drive. And then when they realized that all the cars were stacked up and he was like, fuck it, we're just going to go around. And this is the bit where I was like, right, here we go. I've warmed into it nicely. It's great. Yeah, we love the banter and all this stuff. Right, time to kick some ass here, mate. So that's when I was kind of ready. And before I knew it was kind of over. And I was just like, I was just like, oh man, just a little bit more, just maybe 3 more guys or something, just a bit more.
That's what she said.
Just 3 more guys. Which whiskey should I drink next?
What have we got?
So that's the one I just had, which is really nice, to be honest.
What's that one?
That's American Oaks, like single malt. It's really nice. Then I've got Airstone Lancaster, which is nice.
Nice.
Tamavulin in a red wine cask, which is really nice. And then the expensive one.
Oh yeah, drink some Lindor. I tell you what, if you drink the for fuck's sake.
Hey, that's got Nick Cage in it. You cannot be angry at that one. It looks like he's sat in between them, like just chuckling along as well, which is even better.
Wait, hang on. Oh,
face the other way.
No, it looks like you just sat on the lap. You're trying to replace her.
Jealous. Deadly jealous. Deadly jealous.
That's brilliant.
I waited until you cheered up a bit.
No,
it's very good. No, I'm looking for. I'm a bit nervous about the next episode. But,
I'm looking forward to it still. So
yeah, I'm hoping.
I think that's the main thing for me at the moment. Like I don't like I said, it's all fresh and new to me. So I've been, as long as I'm entertained by it and I can see progression and without it feeling stale, I'm happy. Like
I think we'll. You said that you much preferred not played the game and watching this.
Yeah.
And this, I think this was the only episode where I kind of envied you a bit, because I watched the 3rd episode just like you had watched it. I saw all of this for the first time. And I wasn't mad about the 3rd episode at all. I was going, do you know what? Go all scripted if you're going to tell stories like this, because this is phenomenal.
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like episode 4 was the only episode where I like the first episode was like for like. It was like the game, like for like. I couldn't. It was just the same. Same with the second episode to an extent. But it was what I wanted to see. Yeah,
I did see some fucking weirdos kicking off about it being about a gay couple online. People are just fucking knobheads. Genuinely, just scumbags.
It was in the story. It was in the fucking.
I know,
story.
That's. I feel that's why it's even more infuriating. You're complaining about something which is in the game.
Yeah.
Being expanded on because what?
It was obviously
gay.
Yeah.
Like fuck off.
It was obviously a lot more intimate.
Than it was lovely.
What we saw in the game, but it was still in the game, and
it's still law. It's still, they were a gay couple.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was the story they wanted to go and use. Is Bill's kind of backstory. So, if you have a problem with that, you had a problem with the game, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
so,
basically.
and the game is incredible. So. Yeah, just stupid idiots that don't really understand anything. They just want something to complain about. They want a Star Wars this shit.
No, they
or
just
Lord of the Rings.
just
They want to get enough hatred that IGN's gonna be like, all these people hate the exactly. So their names are on it.
Even fucking watch the show and just
exactly
heard it was about the third episode was out of Gate Couple and then felt very angry about it and offended. Like very offended and how it's not normal. Like that's will be very much the type of people that complained about this episode. Is no one that watches it and no one that understands that people will live the way that people live. Simple as. Like,
and they have the audacity to complain while living in their mother's basements. They're probably just pissed off that day because their mother didn't bring them their cheesy poos. No, they're not cheesy poos. I mean? It's just like, fuck off. Keyboard warriors.
See, in my head, I've got Ben Shapiro. Do you know who Ben Shapiro is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like him, because he's one of the ones. He did a whole fucking show about it being too gay. So in my head, Ben Shapiro is now Carlton.
Feel very like Fat Ben Shapiro.
Fat Ben Shapiro sat in a basement screaming about how no one loves him.
Yeah,
and then taking out on these. For me. It was my favorite episode 3. Yeah, and I love the clickers. So it was just beautiful.
It was funny. There's no. I've not watched anything on telly that's been that like as a self-contained episode. Obviously, there's been seasons and there's been episodes that have been amazing, and we said it last week. Like, I've not watched anything that end to end. I just went, it's fucking perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Beautiful story, really well told.
Yeah, there was one action sequence that they literally need to do. Like the game, for me. Like, I can kind of forgive this because obviously I'm hoping that it builds to something else. But there's another one where it has to be like for like. There's no excuses unless it's just laziness and they just don't understand it. It has to be. Someone brought it up yesterday in the chat, and I was like, "Oh shit, yeah!" And I was like, "That can't change. It can't because it's so important." And I'll message you in a minute what it is. But
I'm trying to. Because there's a couple of things that I'm like, there's a couple of beats that I want them to hit properly.
Yeah.
Because they have to because they're important to me in terms of what I want to see done really well.
Yeah.
And properly, that'll lend itself to both characters equally and to understand them. One of them is the DLC, which I feel like we'll get in an episode anyway. Whether that's season 1 or season 2, I don't know.
It'd be good if they start with that.
If they started season 2 with it.
Because it will be almost like it's almost a bit like the first episode of season 1. If you think about how it plays out, the kind of relationship building and things like that, it kind of follows fairly similar beats, even to the end, you know. So it's I feel like it would be a strong way to start season 2, and it will give you a bit more. Yeah.
Equally, I think they could bookend the season with it as the last episode as well.
Yeah.
Like it'd also end. So it'd start the season really strong, but it would also end it really strong. So I think they don't need to shoehorn it in anywhere. I think there's appropriate places where you can put it, and it'll, depending on slightly the way they present it, it'll fucking blow your head up, even wherever it sits. So there's certain bits that I think will be really that should be really well done, and I'll spend a bit more time on. There's a couple of action sequences we've seen in, obviously, like Mike said, we've seen the clinical side of Joel. We've not seen, or we got a glimpse of what it can be at the end of episode 1. I do want to see that brutality more, and there's places where it'll absolutely fit as long as they do it properly.
Yeah.
And if they don't, I think that might be one of the things where I turn on the show a little bit, because there's bits that are really fucking important to the story that they are absolutely capable of doing in the show, as long as they've got the balls to do it, which I think they have, and I'm not really worried about it. But I think that might be one of the things where I just go, it could have been. Do you know what I mean? Like this, where I've said that they've missed opportunity. I think that's the point where I'd go, that should have been better.
Yeah,
but I'll wait and see. I'm still really hopeful that they'll fucking nail it.
I think they would. I feel this show's already surprised me, and I'm not going to make the same mistake by shitting on it before watching the next episodes, because I did that before, and then they brought out episode 3, and I was like, "Fuck's sake!"
I can't wait for them to do another flashback, Joe, like we did with the woman in the Philippines who says, "You've got to bomb everything." They've got to start bombing like Boston and stuff, Joe, where the outbreaks is. So I want that to come fairly soon, which I feel like might take a good chunk of an episode.
Yeah, I don't know if we see that in the game. They obviously talk about it. We
didn't actually see the flashback, but it was a really nice moment. I think the initial flashback we didn't, where you see the when they see all the bodies.
We don't really get that's what I'm saying, because we've had glimpses of flashbacks with like the baby's finger, and it goes back in, and then it's that made me feel a bit sick. And then we've seen obviously the ones with when it went over to the Philippines, and that's where the outbreak was at a flower factory. Is that right? Flower factory? I feel like that's right.
I think so.
So I feel like that if we do get that, and when this is why this is a wasteland now and everything's bombed out and shit like that, I feel like that's going to take a good chunk of, maybe even a whole episode, where he's going to be action what you haven't seen in the game, which is going to ramp up as well, Joe, for the show. That's just me, because you can't allude to cities being blown up and not fucking start blowing up a city. Especially when you've seen the damage to said cities, like being fucking ravaged.
I just don't know if there's any characters that have come into it the way you tell that story from, unless you tell it from Joel's perspective, I suppose, because he's aware of what happened, but he wouldn't necessarily have witnessed it. And I don't know if there's anybody else or anything else in the story that would go, that makes sense for him to flash back to that character or that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All you'd have to do is see a crater, and Ellie has to ask why all these craters everywhere, and then you just pan to a crater, then pan up, and everything's blowing up.
I feel like that's because this is like part of that is good, and I think like Alan's skepticism is like mine about that is like we naturally are trying to do is trying to go, how does that make the story go
bigger in the game?
Why would they tell that story, and how would it make it forward? But what I like about that is because Mike, not having played the game, just watching the series, is going, this is what I want to say. Which I think is quite a good insight, because this is one thing that, guys playing the game, like for me, I'm like, these guys have a perfect story. Tell this story. If you're going to tell it, just do it justice. I don't give a shit. Just do it justice. But
your favorite episode is the episode what we're in the game.
Exactly. I'm thrown. I'm absolutely thrown by it. Yeah, but then they've done it again this episode. They've kind of gone off script a little bit on this episode, or they've done it, but they've not done it like as good completely as it was. Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. Yeah, so this is why I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know like where I fit with it. I can't say that I don't like them not sticking to the game, because again, like you said, my favorite episode is when they went completely off script.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm thinking that if they are going to if they are going to stick to the game, then just do it well. I think that's where I am with it, because they did even obviously the line didn't hit with Alan, but it was one of my most memorable lines in the whole game. It's one thing I knew that was coming.
Well, you mentioned it like 2 episodes in, like after the third. It was 2 episodes when you was like, right, I've got one line. And I was
exactly.
Like, okay.
This is my line. But for me, it's just what it represents, and it's just like, and how I felt when he said that line, because playing the game, I was like, fucking hell, what is going on? And just to replace it with something like that, it just for me, if there was something similar or close, but I think Noah was quite lazy. I just think it's just so final, and it didn't really, you could kind of understand why you said no eventually, but why not just use the line? The line was perfect for it. I just don't understand why they replaced it with that. They replaced it for me with something that had less energy and made it less provoking. So for me, I just don't understand. Like, that's why I was confused. I was like, it was perfect. You had it. You've used every other line, up until this point. What the fuck? You know what I mean? I don't get
You've even used all the joke lines about white
exactly. Even when she's like, "Bye-bye, dude," when she throws, I even said that, didn't I, in the last episode when she throws the corner. Like, yeah, she said. I was listening out for it, and you could hear her say it in the car. I was like, "Yeah, brilliant stuff." And I was just like, "Why not just say this? Why not use it?" So for me, it's less. Because I love this. I'm really enjoying this series. So I feel like there's a reason why they didn't use it. And for me, I'm just kind of like, why didn't they? Like, why did they decide not to? And like you said, it might be because they're using it later. There may be a definitive reason. They may just wanted it to, for people to kind of think more instead of just being like, obviously he's not even hurt. Just go no, and still for people to be shocked and go, oh shit, this is why. And they just decided it was better. I don't know. It could have been a character choice or ad lib or whatever. I don't know. But they, but then it was in, and for me, it would have been forgiven if we'd have gotten the shootout that we'd have got in the game. And because we didn't get that either, that's what made that scene a bit disappointing for me. So the rest of it, I was I just kind of watched the episode and I was like, this is not what I wanted. I wanted this to be like I wanted even more, a bit, even if it was just a little bit more of an action sequence, but I wanted hard action.
It's understandable.
Shootout, yeah. But again,
especially after, like we said after last week's, we were saying, like, it felt like it was the quiet before the storm, and now it feels like we've had a stall before the storm.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, but again, that might just be a pacing thing for him. Like, you needed to get certain things in before a madness starts happening, and you can't really get that much dialogue worthwhile.
I want to come on next week and be like, fucking hell, episode 5! Jesus Christ! That's why they didn't use the line. That's why the shootout was so shit. That's why they decided to do this, because fuck me, balls deep. Can't believe fucking Joe did that. My God, I want it to be like that excitement.
And I want, and like we raised, like in the States, it's being shown on Friday instead of a Sunday, so it's a thing, which makes me feel like it might be a longer episode for that reason. So with this one being shorter, it was an editing choice because of that. I think you've got longer to wait, so we'll give him a little bit more juice in the episode.
Yeah,
before the longer break.
The way the story goes as well, we are going to get like a decent bit of action with this. It's not the same type of action, but I think we're going to get it nevertheless. And there may just be something they decide to add into it where they are going to go, this is where we decided we want to have the proper showdown kind of thing. So I don't know. I'm going to stop trying to guess, and I'm going to watch the next episodes and just see how it is.
Separate the two mediums, maybe.
Yeah. Where we are, it's for me, it's a very nerve-wracking point in the story at this moment in time for me, because the story and like series of stories that they're going to be telling from now on are really like in the game, they're quite hard-hitting and memorable. So again, like action or not, if they do decide to put a lot of action in this, again, I'm worried that they will drown out the story, and I'm thinking, is it too late for the action now? And if so, because what the character building that they did in the last episode, I felt like could have waited to this point, because here we're going to get a lot of talking, a lot of discussion, a lot of character building, with what happens next. But we do get some action and some chasings and this, that, and the other. So it's just going to be interesting. I feel like they've got quite a lot to do, kind of moving forward. And I feel like they probably could have done themselves a favor and just gone, fuck it, we're just going to have this one a shootout, and then do all the fucking character building, meeting people and all that other shit, either at the end of this one to get into the next one, or just do it in the next episode. I think I personally feel that's how they should, without seeing the next episode though, I can't be sure, but I feel like that's probably what they should have done and done a bit more. But it sounds like they are confining it a little bit, which makes me worried about the pacing in the actual story itself. And I'm just hoping because they can't rush the stories that happen next. So they need to give it time. They need to tell probably the next story over a few episodes, I think, for it to have any kind of gravitas. So we'll just have...
It feels like it is settling down for like a a mid-season story though. Like we've had like the intro, which is the first 3, where you get into grips with them as people, and then these people that are in and out very quickly. But this is an introduction to what I can only count as like some of the worst types of people are about to come around the corner. Like it feels very clanny. Like it feels like there's not in like Ku Klux Klan. Like it feels like there's a lot of tribal warfare going on. Like this is our city. No one comes in like, and with that, like it comes big fascist elements, and it becomes like a lot of people have just lost their mind, just generally, and then you just off the deep end, and that's only going to lead to bad ways, especially if they're in charge or so-called in charge of other people with big guns.
I think it's quite good that we get to know a bit more about these guys as well, because again, you don't really get to know them. You just know that you're hiding from them. They're trying to kill you. You hear them on the radio or whatever talking to each other, just walking about and stuff. So you get to hear, build up, who they are from that. You don't really get to meet many kind of. I think there are, a couple of people in charge that they speak of. Again, this whole element of the game is overshadowed by something else for me, anyways. So it's difficult to kind of pinpoint like that side of it. But I think it's interesting that they decided to give us a bit more of an insight to who these guys are and why they're doing what they're doing. Because it makes them more human, I guess. And it's important in the show to see that.
They're damaged rather than just, they're damaged rather than just straight up evil.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think
products of the environment.
Yeah, which then if you can relate to something like that more, then you're onto a fucking winner in terms of storytelling and like you say, like impact, aren't you?
Yeah. We're from Salford, so well, 2 of us are from Salford, so we get it.
I mean, it's good. We totally get it.
Yeah, completely. We understand it. We've got a corrupt local government. But yeah, I'm still massively looking forward to it. The fact that that is incredible.
I mean,
is that an X-wing?
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Yeah, I'm still massively looking forward to next week.
Stay on target.
Oh, this is. I feel like Porkins.
Do you know? I saw like a post the other day, and it's true actually. I always think about it and then I forget about it. But do you know when they're flying, before Porkins dies, and you have one of those, like another one of the guys, and they're like, bail out, and he goes, "No, I'm all right." When he dies, and he's just going, but it's true. It's just like, what do you mean bail out?
In space.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not like an emergency. But apparently, some of the kind of diehard Star Wars fans were saying, what they're actually wearing on their suits. Like, so you see this kind of square box that they've got there. What it does is you can actually eject. And what it does is it puts like a force field around them that keeps them like heated and like everything going, so they can actually just bail out wherever they are in space, potentially just landing on the Death Star and just surviving. But they need to be rescued fairly quickly before their life support runs out. But that's what it is on their chest.
Oh, see, if they just stuck that on Princess Leia instead of making her do Mary Poppins bollocks,
right?
That would have made more sense.
It would have made more sense, and then everyone would be like, "Oh, that's what it is." Yeah, but apparently that's what they are. So that any one of the guys that had died during that scene could have just bailed out.
Just jumped out.
Yeah, do you know when
got onto the floor and then just run across like the top of the Death Star, climbed into that hole.
Exactly. Do you know, like Luke's mate that's waiting for Luke like to use his targeting system before Luke decides actually he doesn't want to.
Don't need to.
And he gets blown up by Vader. He knows that Vader's right behind him and he's on his target. Why not just bail out? Why does none of them
land on Vader's ship and start stabbing it up?
Yeah. I feel like it's a Book of Mormon song. Bail out like a light switch, just go click. It's a little Mormon trick. We do it all the time. When you've got Darth Vader in your rear screen, and it's about to blow you into Halloween. Bail out.
We went like You went very much like write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Sing the theme tune, yeah.
Very, it was about naughty man named Vader. Do. Young things. Do.
I've got a good idea. Push the bailout button. Oh, anyways. Yeah, bailout. Yeah. I'm going to use that for everything. 2023.
You should write that song, Nick, and then learn it on your recorder or whatever it was and play for us next week.
Bailout. Like a light switch. Just go click. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a work in progress. I'll get there.
Talent Nicholas Dixon knows no bounds.
I know, right? Thank you.
Musical extraordinaire.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like Sky might be watching or listening because
he's cleared now.
Very much on a normal bandwidth.
Yeah, it's not actually like
it's not
or anything now.
You're not.
Oh,
like,
don't say that. I can see the little signal coming back now. It's all going to get fucked up.
He just pop up in a minute. Fuck you, Nick.
Yeah.
Private
I can give you the Wi-Fi and we can take it away, you son of a bitch. The power of Sky.
It really has.
They've done it. They've done it again. Fuck you, Sky. Okay. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about? Because
yes, I'm on the Sarcasm City podcast. Well, Mandem United thing at 4:30 tomorrow. Come and watch me talk about football with all my obvious knowledge, and I'm not just going to get drunk on camera at 4:30.
I will be watching. I'll be trolling somewhat.
Good. Like it should be happening, but I'm only there for like light-hearted bands, aren't I? Not for my exquisite football knowledge.
Do you know what I've just realised? I'm literally downloading 2 games. Maybe that's got something to do with it.
Maybe.
This is Red Lion Picture. Thank you very much for watching. And that's Mike. That's Alan. I've been Nicky Dixon. I'm going to play us out.
Come on now.